national broadband network into the future is that schools like ours are separated from large parts of Australia to use video technology to have direct face-to-face communication with other schools, with other students, with other industries. I'm excited about it because all students have every opportunity to see and experience the world. The national broadband network can definitely be there for us.
So this was a school in that quite remote place in Tasmania that we saw on the map that until the national broadband network came through town was experiencing horrendous broadband difficulties. Certainly not the kind of service that you could ever hope to educate kids with. But I know this is a small business, small and medium business expo, so enough about corporate education. I want to make some points now about productivity in the business community, particularly in small and medium-sized businesses. Everyone understands this graph. The world is changing. Toho, the non-Kansas distribution and services are moving from physical infrastructure to being online, whether that's post, obviously, Aussie Post complains about us putting out of business in the long run. It's why we're getting so many retail stores around the place. Newspapers are going into online services, bookstores, e-books. We saw, a bricks and mortar retailer recently in Brisbane and elsewhere talk about the difficulties of competing with e-books from overseas. DVD rentals that are now being downloaded in the US, I'll talk about that in a minute. And of course, what it means is that we're moving from physical stores and locations to being online. And if you grasp this opportunity, it's a potentially powerful way of overcoming the tyranny of distance and also overcoming the size. Small businesses can suddenly compete online with big businesses. The internet makes your size virtually irrelevant. So from a business perspective now, I've got a case study again from Tasmania, another quite remote location. You see there, Scottsdale in north-eastern Tasmania. This is how a pharmacy is using the national broadband network.
Scottsdale Pharmacy in northeast Tasmania was the first business in Australia to be connected to the national broadband network. Owner Stephen Love says being connected offers huge benefits for online training and healthcare providers.
It is the dawn of a new age in internet technology. We're going to see new developments in education, we're going to see new developments in health. The real opportunity with national broadband for us is when we can start to see interactive training, when the training providers are able to interact on a live basis, we're able to respond. You can't do that with a downloaded presentation. I'm quite sure that the national broadband network is going to give us the capacity to do that. And I've seen how much better video conferencing is with the national broadband network. The national broadband network is going to stimulate a lot of interest in the health professions and how they interact with people. It'll allow people to stay in their homes longer before they go into residential aged care. It's really exciting for us to be right in the forefront of this before everybody else in the bigger cities. Perhaps the national broadband is going to put Scottsdale on the map.
So there you go, a pharmacy in Scottsdale deriving benefits from the national broadband network. But what he talked about there was video training, teleconferencing, things which I think most people get and understand about high-speed broadband. And importantly, one of the things he mentioned was people being able to stay at home for longer and being able to treat people in their homes. An important feature of the network that's being built is that it's a fibre to the premise network. It will connect every premise in the country. Many institutions in Australia today, like universities and many schools even, are connected by a fibre optic between those institutions. But what's missing in the country is a network that connects those institutions to homes. And so many people are able to do things like video conferencing in their home, a whole new range of e-health and e-education services being delivered at home rather than having to travel to premises, rather than having to travel to institutions. So there's some of the more obvious applications like training via video link, telepresence, all those sorts of things. What I wanted to spend a minute talking about is something that you may or may not have heard of, and that is cloud services. Now, I'm sure as business people, you've all experienced the difficulties, or if you're lucky enough to start with experience the difficulties of trying to load new software glitches, files going missing, viruses invading your data, all those things which occur when you're using software loaded onto PCs in businesses. Cloud services are about accessing someone else's computer effectively over a network so that you can rent capacity on their servers. So your software isn't loaded on your PC, it's loaded on theirs. Your data isn't loaded on your PC, it's loaded on theirs. The rent that you pay, or the arrangement that you have with them, requires them contractually to keep it free from viruses, to back up your data, to make sure that the software is up to date and the latest version. So all those hassles that bedevil small business via cloud computing can become a rented service. Software as a service, it's often called. Now, this isn't all that new. If you or your kids are on Facebook, then Facebook is a great example of a cloud service. It's a fairly trivial one, some might argue, but it's a great example. If you load photos onto Facebook, they're not stored on your computer, they're stored on Facebook's. So that's just to get your head around the concept. What it means, though, is that software, for example, design software, that a small business might not be able to buy in order to compete with the big guys, you might suddenly be able to afford rented access from a cloud-based service to your PC in your business. Well, what does this kind of technology, what does this kind of concept need? It needs the blue line. It needs the network. It needs a high-speed network. It's very difficult to do cloud computing to its full extent via the old copper network that Australia is reliant upon today. So here's another case study. This is a company called Blue Rocket in Hobart. Interestingly, while we do have a couple of suburbs of Hobart done, with Glen Point, a little bit south of Hobart, Blue Rocket isn't yet connected to the national broadband network. We'd like to pass this premise. Well, let's have a listen to what this guy says.
Blue Rocket Productions is an animation studio in Hobart. Director David Gurney says if he is to continue growing the business, faster internet is vital.
We produce animated cartoons for children's market worldwide. We're running 8 plus at the moment, which doesn't feel quick enough for us. The sort of numbers that are quoted are really only burst rate. It's very, very slow. We need to be on an equal footing with a lot of the other developed countries in the world where high-speed broadband is just taken as a given. And, a lot of the partners we're dealing with operating with massive broadband connections, and it's expected that if we're going to be partnering with them, that we will be able to work with the same technologies and at the same speed. We move a lot of content backwards and forwards around the world. I think it's an essential part of the business. Why we're so excited about the NBN is that we will be able to operate within the real-time collaborative spaces and move large files. So we're talking 24 minutes of high-definition video in real time. So we need serious bandwidth and at a cost-effective price. And that's why fibre is something that's very interesting to us.
So our business, again, in Tasmania, not yet on the national broadband network, but because we have quite a profile there, we find a lot of businesses in a state of anticipation about what they can do and how their business models will change once the national broadband network arrives. And that's, hopefully the kind of sense of momentum that we want to get in Townsville and in those other places on the mainland where we're active as well. So Blue Rocket's a great example of a business already thinking about what will change when the NBN comes. And that's, I suppose, close to where I want to leave you today. I really want businesses in Townsville. In a sense, this isn't our role, we're busy building a network. But I sure hope that businesses in Townsville are starting to anticipate what the NBN might mean for their businesses and starting to anticipate the way they'll be able to compete over high-speed broadband. And I'll just leave you with this kind of sobering thought. Netflix in the United States, which is a company that hires out videos effectively, but not in an old-fashioned way. You're able to download the video over a network in the United States. It now accounts for 20% of the peak downstream traffic in the US, just that one business. It reached that milestone of 20% download on October 22nd, 2010. On September 23, 2010, Blockbuster became bankruptcy. Now, I don't know that they're connected, but Blockbuster's, you know, an old bricks and mortar style business that didn't anticipate competition over broadband. So I'll tell you a bit about our plans. I guess it's over to you now to think about what your plans are. Because over the NBN, business can hide its size and it can hide its location. So it doesn't matter how big you are, it doesn't matter where you are, given the ubiquity of the network across the nation. You're able to compete with anyone in the world if you've got high-speed broadband and the right business model. But at the moment, only 2/3 of all small and medium-sized businesses even have a website. So my real concern is that the business community won't move quickly enough to take advantage of the national broadband network that is starting right here in Council, having set a footprint down here. We're going to keep going. Council will be ready, one of the first cities in the country connected to the internet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for that presentation. I'd like to just mention before we go that Mike's visit was organised today to deliver the keynote by the Department of Employment, Economic Development and Innovation, that's D. I'd like to thank them for bringing Mike with us today. And with Mike's informative and thought-provoking presentation he's given us today, if it's agreeable, I would like to open up for any questions. I know Mike's got an engagement directly after this, but if it was agreeable, absolutely. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask? Yes.